Welcome back. In this week's episode, we discuss Trudeau's use of emergency powers against peaceful protesters, Trump being spied on by Hillary and the deep state, and to paraphrase Alex Jones, how they are turning the frickin' kids gay. I'm Luke.
And I'm Rhodey.
And this is the Right Side of the Compass podcast. All right, so Rhodey, I was not here last week. You probably missed me. I assume you missed me.
Of course I missed you.
Aw.
I missed your wisdom.
Aw, thanks. Aw. But I was not, even though I was out because of my wisdom teeth, I did end up doing some work before the podcast. I was actually on Tuesday at the Israeli Freedom Convoy. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a honkening over here in Jerusalem.
You had a honkening. Yeah, no, I've been hearing it's been spreading, all around the world. And, it's crazy. I mean, it got all the way to Israel, so that's great.
And so fast, too. Usually it takes like 20 years for something to reach Israel.
Usually they're like five years behind everything.
Exactly. That's why they named it the Facebook bill and not the Meta bill. And that's why it was such a shock that they didn't name it the MySpace bill.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so no, I think I want to talk about a little bit about it. So
yeah, no, how was it?
Oh, it was pretty nice. I get there. I missed the big day. The big day was on Monday. I missed the big day because I was at the dentist. But I went on Tuesday afterwards to kind of make up for it. And I gotta say, like, when I went, it was very chill. Like, just people were kind of having a good time. Like, there were a couple crazy people there. As protests are wont to kind of gather crazy people, but all in all, like, most of the people there, like, were pretty chill guys. Like, the kind of people you'd want to get a beer with. It was really fun. There was a lot of free food. So if you're in Jerusalem, you should go down to the Freedom Protest, the Freedom Convoy.
Where is it?
It's right by the entrance of Knesset. So,
all right.
So if you like go to, I don't know anyone who lives in Israel, but if you go to Soccer Park and you, not like soccer as in SOCCER, soccer as in SACHER, you go to Soccer Park and you kind of follow the trail a little bit, you can end up kind of walking to the Knesset. There's also like another park, but you end up getting to the Knesset opening. Like I think they stopped some of the traffic. That's why you need to go through there. But all in all, like it was nice to go. There was free food. People were doing, and like people were sitting on the grass, kind of chilling. So
was there a lot of people there?
During the night there were more people. During the day, I think there were a lot of people sleeping because again there were tents set up around the Knesset because there were people like staying there overnight.
Were there also trucks there when you went?
When I went, no. Before? So when I went, no. I think the Israelis kind of missed the point. Like you're supposed to have the trucks just kind of block the street. Yes, sit there. But they actually went home. But they're just kind of, I know, right? Like I was so frustrated. No, but I think. No, I'll tell you what it is. Maybe you can call me a shill for the freedom protest all you like, but I'm gonna justify it for 2 minutes. I think the issue with doing doing exactly what they did in Canada in Jerusalem is that people don't understand Jerusalem. It's not a regular city. It's unlike most cities around the world. Jerusalem is very hilly and it has a lot of weird roads, and so you can't really get trucks in most of the important roads, and so it wouldn't accomplish what you would want to accomplish anyways. And a lot of these truckers don't want to be stuck there either. So I think it really does need to be in front of Knesset, like the way it is. Like I don't think you can blockade Jerusalem the way you can blockade Ottawa. Just study like history, the wars between the Romans and the Judeans. Like you'll see like the type of tactics you would need are nuts because Jerusalem is a hilly place, unlike most cities, which are very flat and they're by the coast. So, that's just the way it is. So I don't know if there would be an ability to do what they did in Canada, in Israel. It's just the reality.
And what were their vibes there?
Actually, they were chill, but they were chill, but they were also like, I was talking to a lot of people, they were very calm and collected, and they were like talking about what they wanted. Like some of it was about the COVID mandates. Like, you got a lot of people who were talking about the vaccine, of course, and I'm not going to get into the vaccine here because it's not my job. But they were getting into the mandates, and then they were also talking about this rule called the Chok HaSamchuyot, or I don't know how it would translate into English. But basically would give Naftali Bennett, who's the current prime minister of Israel, the sole authority to just enact laws, similar to Trudeau's emergency powers in
Wow.
Canada. Yeah. So they're talking about that. They're also talking about, they were talking about like other things there. It was pretty incredible. They were, of course, anti-mask, which I can get behind. Like you could just see like it really like it really was a protest of regular people. And the thing that I noticed was the most important thing to me was the kind of eclectic nature of the protesters. You had protesters who were kind of very standard hippies. You had protesters who were kind of just regular Israelis. You got like the more right wing, the religious types, but there were all sorts of people there. And that's how I kind of knew like that was a good protest, because you got a bunch of people coming together and talking about important issues to them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I liked about the protest a lot. And also free food. I can't get over the free food.
And how was Israel reacting to it? Were they reacting to it?
So like I said, I don't think it was such a big deal, to be honest. I think most Israelis are treating it like, no, I listen, I want to say that it was really big, and I want to say I want to say that it's doing its job. I want it to do its job, but I don't know if it's going to accomplish the same thing, because the reality is that the trucker convoy in Canada, they managed to get everyone's attention because you just can't move in that city. But Jerusalem, most people are going about their business. So
Also,
that's
it was
just,
thousands and thousands of
yeah,
truckers.
that's the reality. Like all the protesters are just in front of Knesset. So I don't, me personally, I don't think anything's going to happen. I would love for something to happen, but the coolest thing that happened, I wasn't there for it, but the coolest thing that happened was, I only missed it by like a couple hours. I went home because I was very hungry, because I actually wasn't eating that day. I was water fasting. And so I went home. I wanted to go to sleep. It was like 7 at night, whatever. I just wanted to get home and start working on the episode. And apparently, member of Knesset Gadi Yaval Khan comes out to greet the protesters, and he comes to join them. So that, like,
Oh, really?
yeah, I missed. That would have been so
Oh, you
cool.
missed it.
I missed it. I could have, if I would have known, I would have stayed, and I would have said like, "Hey, listen, I'm on this podcast, and we talk about you on the regular. You should come on, join us. You
Yeah.
speak any English? Come on, man, let's do this."
Does he speak
Um,
English?
he probably does.
Probably does.
He probably
Work
does.
for the Knesset.
Yeah, I know you kind of have to speak English. Although I don't know if he does. It could very well be that he doesn't, but he could have sent someone who speaks English to represent him.
No idea. But
I'll try to catch him on Sunday. I'm going to go again on Sunday. So
all right, yeah, no, can't wait to hear about it.
yeah. So, and I think the thing that's kind of crazy to me is that people don't understand this, and this is very important. So I'm gonna bring this up, and then we're gonna have to go to the regular episode, because I do want to talk about the topics we are speaking about today. But there is a special, like, people may or may not know this. If you watched the interview with Robert Malone on the Candace Owens show, or Candace, it's called Candace on the Daily Wire, they talk about this agreement between Israel and Pfizer. Now, you have to understand that if you actually pull up the agreement between Israel and Pfizer, it's just like there's a lot of text that's just blacked out because it's classified as per the desires of Pfizer. One of the things that the people want over there is they want to know what's in that document. They want to know what's in that agreement. This is one of the
Which I think
things.
is fair.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I don't know if I would be against the vaccine mandates if I felt that the government was being forthright with us, which is to say that in a state of emergency, things are going to happen. And I know people are going to eviscerate me in the comments, whatever. I don't care. I'm just going to say what I think. I think that governments, in theory, are there to prevent these types of disasters or to be like an organizing force. Fair enough. And I'm going to say this in the episode, that there are jobs for the government to do. And I'm not just a libertarian. I'm not just saying like, the government should get out of our business and the government should never have any say in anything, right? That's not my opinion. But especially a crucial moment like this, it's very important that they be forthright with us. And one of those things is the Pfizer agreement that Israel made, and the fact that, like, if you pull it up, it's like all blacked out, like the words are all blacked out. Like, that's very, like, that scares me.
Yeah,
Also,
because usually things are redacted because of national security, but is that national security to have that? It's not like information has to do with like an enemy of, of the state or something. It's, an agreement between, for a drug company.
Right, but I think the national security issue is that the Israeli government knows is that what the Israeli government knows is that if we were to see what's in that agreement, they would probably lose their jobs. That's probably why they hid it. Also, I forgot to mention, some of the people over there were talking about this incident with the Israeli police and how they were caught spying on Israeli citizens using this program called Pegasus. And what happened is that the Israeli police were caught spying on Israeli citizens, and so the Israeli police did an internal investigation of the Israeli police. They exonerated themselves of all wrongdoing, and they said they didn't do anything wrong, and that we should put the case to bed. And so people were talking about that, as you could probably imagine, and so I'm like, okay,
It's funny.
yeah, well, if the Israeli police says the Israeli police didn't do anything wrong, then I suppose I should trust them, right? Because the police never do anything wrong, isn't that right, Rody?
Yeah, no one's ever corrupt.
No one's ever done anything wrong. That's why we just trust people when they say they did. When my mom asked me if I stole the cookies from the cookie jar, and I just say, "No, you see, Mom, I did an internal investigation, and I've exonerated myself of all wrongdoing." And she said, "Okay," and so then I sold her the Brooklyn Bridge. So.
Just like the cookie jar is all open and
it's empty,
crumbs leading to you.
I know, literally a cookie in my mouth. No, that's a joke, of course. My mom is not nearly as stupid as the Israeli police thinks that we are. So, no, my mom's actually pretty smart. That was, of course, a joke. So, just Mom, if you're listening to this, first of all, I love you, and second of all, that was a joke. And third of all, you look great for 25.
Don't abandon me.
You're 20. I hope you had a happy 25th birthday. Anyways, so let's get to the shameless pandering. We want to continue to produce good content about the topics you care about, but we need your help, dear listener. Please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified of our latest uploads. In addition, we are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. So please give us a listen no matter where your favorite platform is. You can reach out to us by either commenting on the video or by sliding into our DMs at the right side of the compass on Instagram. It doesn't cost you anything to share the video, but it helps us a lot. So please do that. Please share it. Please engage with us on social media. We've been blowing up on YouTube a lot, so I'm very happy about that. So let's continue to do that. Let's continue to run with YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And all the other platforms, too. I want people to hear what we have to say. Anyways, so let's get down to business. Let's talk about topic number 1. This is what happened. Trudeau declares war in Canada. No, did you see what Trudeau said on television? He's like, did you see that?
I mean, I saw part of his speeches. I don't remember him literally declaring war on Canada, but no, I figured it's figuratively, not literally.
He may as well have. Because he said like, oh, if you give aid and comfort to the truckers, you're aiding and abetting in terrorism.
Yeah. So it's definitely a power move. Definitely.
Well, yeah, this is power politics. This is not politics of reason, as Michael Knowles was saying on, I think it was the episode yesterday. Ding. I know, right? No, I promise I'm going to try not to bring up Michael Knowles nearly as much as we usually do. But Michael Knowles was saying that we live in an age of power politics. So it's not about reason and intellect. It's about what power do you have and how can you throw it at your enemies. And that's essentially what's going on right now. You got the Trudeau government. They don't like these protesters because they're protesting the wrong thing. They should be protesting for people, BIPOC, lesbian, homosexual dance therapists. And they're not doing that. So yeah. Trudeau...
So do you want to also explain?
I was literally about to get into it. Trudeau decided that he doesn't like this protest, so he's going to invoke the Emergencies Act. This is the first time in Canadian history. I can't believe I just said that sentence. Canadian history. It sounds like I may as well just said Narnian history or like it sounds like a mystical, like magical wonderland. Anyways, so
America's 51st state. history.
America's hat and Washington's greatest mistake. Anyways,
Yeah.
so he invoked the Emergencies Act for the first time since it was passed in 1988. Think about
Wow.
yeah, so this is how bad it is. They invoked the Emergencies Act because a bunch of truckers just kind of sit there.
Well, what was the reason in 1988?
No, they didn't. No, it was passed in 1988.
Oh, to be allowed to
Yeah, it
invoke
was
the
passed
Emergencies
into
Act.
law in 1988, which is to say that it can be invoked, but it has never been invoked since it was passed in 1988.
Oh, wow.
That means, like, during the wars and 9/11 and all that, like, they didn't invoke it during 9/11, right? They didn't do that, but they invoked it now because a bunch of truckers go honk honk.
Yeah.
Because a bunch of people decided to build bouncy castles. So, no, did you see what's going on in Canada? They're like barbecuing and building bouncy castles and singing the national anthem, like the national anthem that's a dig on Canada. It's like, oh, Canada. But anyways, no.
Canada.
Canada. No, I'm sorry, Canadians. I love ripping on your country so much, and you don't deserve it. You deserve someone who loves you, not me. But
Yeah,
I don't care what you
not
deserve.
Trudeau.
Yeah, you do. I hate Canada, and I would be a better prime minister than Justin Trudeau. But in any case,
I mean, there was even a video of Trudeau. He was talking about, I think it was, he was talking about how countries he admires, and he said he admires China.
oh yeah, that's true. He did say that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is crazy.
He literally says, if I heard it today, he said, like, China's a dictatorship, so they have a lot of, like, flexibility and they can solve problems.
No, he's saying. Did he use the word dictatorship? He didn't use the word dictatorship. He says he likes, their government because they can get things done because they don't care. I mean,
I believe he did
didn't
say the
those
word
words.
dictatorship. I believe he did say dictatorship. I believe he did.
I think he did. I probably have to look at the video again, but he said he likes their government because that's the thing. When you don't respect individual rights, it's more efficient and you could get things done, but at the cost of individual rights.
Yeah, no one says that it's. I was reading, I forget which book it was. I think it was by Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell said that the thing about the Cold War is that it is true that in the beginning of the Cold War, the Soviet Union looked like it was winning because the Soviet Union, because they were run by dictators, they were able to pivot. But the thing is, once a democracy starts spinning its wheels, it will start moving later because you have to get all the things to work together. But once you start moving, it's much better at doing what it's supposed to do than a dictatorship, because a dictatorship will typically fall apart because it's run by one guy. So it's all on one guy, and if you screw up, that's it. But if you get a democracy to work together, everyone starts working together. They put the pieces together. It's much stronger, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like the fascist ideal of, like, stronger together, but, like, actually stronger together, but, like, in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're not imposing fear on each other. It's that when you actually get the people to come together and you do those things, you become stronger. Anyways, so let's talk about the Emergencies Act. This is what Justin Trudeau thinks is appropriate to do because a bunch of truckers decided to barbecue and honk their horns. The police and the military now have the authority to arrest truckers and freeze bank accounts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a thing a lot of people are talking about, and this is why a lot of people are going to crypto. I actually kind of want to go to cash. I want to go back to cash. Although there's problems with that too.
Well, you're not in Canada. Doesn't concern you.
No. But I'm saying in general, like, I think we need to recognize that. I've spoken about this before, I think on my own personal platforms, but I've spoken about, like, how in Israel, you can't even get on a bus with cash, which means that theoretically
everything's digital.
Everything's digital, so everyone can track you at all times, right?
That's true.
Right. So that's kind of what I'm against. I kind of want.
That's why people are worried about the U.S. making their own cryptocurrency for that exact reason.
Right. But here's the thing. So they So first of all, they're freezing bank accounts. I just saw, I think it was Tim Pool. I was watching him right before the episode. He said there were people who they're not even participating in the protest. They may have just donated $20 to, like, truckers, and then the banks froze their account, and so they're just reporting it as outages. So they don't even know what's going on in Canada right now. There are people just like they don't know what's going on. They donated $20 and now their accounts are frozen.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Also, like, just for the government to have that kind of power over, the banks, just to freeze your assets is just, it's such a power violation. It's ridiculous.
But was it because did the Canadians mandate that the banks have to do this, or did they give permission to the banks to do it, and did the banks then say yes?
It seems like they're giving I think in the wording they use, it seems like they're giving permission.
Yeah, the words of the finance minister implied that you have permission to do it, but what she said is that without a warrant. But it's very important because we do freeze bank accounts of like actual terrorists, right?
Yeah.
But it requires like a court order. It requires a warrant, which means that it requires some oversight. It requires that we know who the guy is, we know what bank account it is. There's some accountability. But here it's just like, oh, we see like a John Smith who donated to the trucker convoy. Okay, here we're gonna freeze his account. And it's like a different John Smith. And then there was like you know about Give Send Go. I spoke about Give Send Go 2 weeks ago that like you could donate to Give Send Go. So if you donate to Give Send Go, there was some hacker that decided to hack into Give Send Go and kind of release all the donors to the trucker convoy. And like already the media is going after these regular people who donated small sums of money. Like we're talking about double digit types of, they're going after them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
There was a lady who closed her business because she was canceled. Like we're talking like
Really?
You want to talk about, I think it was Stella Luna. I'm going to look at Stella Luna. I just want to get this right. Stella Luna. Threats closed Stella Luna Gelato Cafe after owner's name. Threats. Okay. Yeah. So this is from the Ottawa Citizen. This is what's going on over there. Threats closed Stella Luna Gelato Cafe after owner's name appears in Give Send Go data leak. And of course, she said on Twitter that she regrets making her $250 donation. Something tells me that she regrets being caught, not that she regrets the donation.
Uh-huh. All right.
Right. No, but even then, like, even if she did regret, like, who cares? Like, why are we canceling regular people now?
Because we can.
Because we can, right? So this is what Justin Trudeau's doing, and of course, the truckers, being the bosses that they are, they essentially said, "Nah, we don't care, fam. Like, we're just going to continue protesting." But there was, I think, in Alberta, they shut down truckers. Like the police went, they arrested like 11 truckers. They seized 2 trucks. So it's getting serious over there. But yeah, that's really how this is going. But I think here's the thing, and I really want to say this because I think this is important. There are 2 sides to this discussion, right? There's the side that I think you could say that we're on, right, which is that peaceful protest should always be respected, and that if the peaceful protest happens this way, then that's just the way it is. And to quote a certain congresswoman from New York City, or New York rather, protests are supposed to make you uncomfortable. That's the whole point. So, and then there's the second side. I've seen some people say that it's affecting the economy, that they can't shut down the economy this way, and right. But the thing that I've noticed, the big difference in essentially is that the second side is essentially saying that the economy, like if there's any disruption to the economy, it affects me, and the economy is meant to serve me. So how dare you do that, right? Like all the people I've noticed, like even amongst the people I know, right? All the people who are saying like it's affecting the economy, it's like, well, the economy is not just for you; it's for those people too. And you know what? If they're having a problem with the economy and they say so and they shut down the economy, well, guess what? You better listen, because they have the trucks. They're bringing you your damn food. And you should thank your lucky stars that it takes something like this to get the truckers to come out and say something, because they usually don't. Think about all the different jobs and all the different professions where they go and they protest all the time and they demand more money. Truckers never do this. Ever. Did they do this when our parents were kids? When was the last time a trucker protested?
I think it maybe depends on the type of trucker. There's like, more freelance work and then there's more like corporation. Um, I haven't heard of much. If there has been, I haven't heard of it. But it, there might have been,
Right,
but
but that's
I
the
haven't heard of it.
right, but that's the point. Truckers in general don't do this, right? And that's because they know they're responsible. They didn't it's they don't do
Also,
this,
they're
right?
usually in demand. They're responsible for getting the, products from one place to another. So that's a pretty important job.
It is an important job. I agree, which is why it's so frustrating seeing the other side saying it affects the economy. Yeah, we know, dum dum. We know it affects the economy. That's the damn point,
That's the point.
right? Because
Yeah.
they don't want to work under these conditions. They don't want to continue funding this, right? They don't want to continue being a cog in the machine. And the people who are saying like it's affecting the economy and we need to get these people out of Ottawa, well, they think the economy works for them. They're the type of people that get up in the morning and think the milk comes from the supermarket. They think that the vegetables just get put on the shelf. They, no, like honestly, they think like the little Latino guy working at the supermarket in the bodega in Washington Heights. And like oh, it just happens. There's no like overhead. There's no what do they think happens? Like, I'm genuinely curious.
I don't know. For some reason people just don't understand.
Right, and this is I think the common denominator between all the freedom protests around the world. And this is the ultimate rallying cry of the populist movement, and that is that we don't exist to serve you. We, the regular people, don't exist to serve you, the politicians. The politicians
Yeah.
get a lot of stuff because we give them jobs that are very unique and very difficult to do, and so we need you guys to go and run the governments and run the police and do this and do that and be in charge of things. Like we get that, right? And most of us are willing to live in this way.
Yeah.
But you have to,
Like,
right?
yeah.
Continue.
I was just gonna put a little comment like a dictator versus like a king. Like, it goes from dictator like goes from top down and they like rule with like an iron fist. While a king, it's the people that make the king kind of.
Right,
So
like you've ever seen the royalty in England, like they treat the royalty very special because the royalty kind of brings the people together, right?
yeah.
It grants the people some legitimacy, but the thing about and I wish I was good at words because then I would say something very, kind of memeable and something that you can like put my picture in black and white and then like have like that as a quote.
Is that your dream to become a meme?
Not a meme, but like have like my picture in black and white and then have something I said be a quote. And then
Oh.
like people share it on the internet. I don't know if necessarily meme,
And then
but
you stick your tongue out like Albert Einstein and then put the quote next to you.
yeah, so no, but I like that's what these elitists think in these cities. They think that the economy exists to serve them, and that's why these protests need to happen. And that's why they will continue to happen until Justin Trudeau gets his rear end down into Ottawa, into the streets of Ottawa, and starts talking to those protesters. Because until that happens, they will not be going anywhere.
Some of them might go because they just can't afford it, but a lot of them might stay.
If you watch the videos of the truckers that I saw, a lot of them said they were going to stay. They
A lot
don't
of them said
care.
they were going to stay. Some of them said, they understand they don't want to go, but like it's their entire livelihood.
Yeah,
So,
but also
I,
remember a lot of them like they have nothing to lose now. And you don't ever want to like I think there's a rule you don't ever corner a rabid dog because then it has nothing to lose. There's nothing it won't do to get out of that situation. And if you corner these truckers and you take away their bank accounts and you freeze their assets, you take away their trucks and you take away their families. Some of them were, I think, they were threatened with their kids being taken away by the Canadian Child Protective Services, whatever that is. Do you know what will happen if all those truckers get put in that corner? Do you know what's going to happen?
I do not know.
Heads will
I
roll.
mean,
Heads will roll. And I'm not saying it should. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen if you put the truckers in that corner.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, so hopefully the truckers will stay strong and they'll fight for freedom because Lord knows we need it. Anyways, so let's go to topic 2. Trump is always right, and he continues to be right. And even when we think that Trump is wrong, he's always right. So don't ever say anything that disproves Trump because he always ends up being right eventually. And this is one such example. The Durham filing proves that the deep state unlawfully targeted Trump. I think anyone with a brain knew this was true, but it's great to hear it from an official source.
Yeah. Do you want to just briefly explain what that whole thing's about?
Right. So let's first talk about who John Durham is. John Durham was appointed special counsel for the U.S. Department of Justice, investigating whether Trump was spied on in the 2016 campaign. As some of you may or may not know, Trump essentially kind of said, "Oh, I'm being spied on by the the Clinton campaign." He said he was being targeted, and the Democrats were saying like, "Oh, that's not true. What are you talking about? Blah blah blah. You crazy old person." And then they accused him of colluding with the Russians, and then they accused him of colluding with Ukraine when that didn't work. But so once all these scandals went away, there was I believe it was Bill Barr. He appointed John Durham to investigate the origins of Russiagate, as you could probably imagine, because if such a big scandal happens, it essentially derails 4 years of a presidency.
Yeah, no, it was insane, like how much they just put in just trying to get rid of him because of the Russia thing, which didn't end up being true. They
Right.
weren't able to prove, and just like ruined so much that he could have done because he's been concentrating on that.
Right. So they wanted an investigation. They wanted to get to the bottom of it. So there was, of course, the Steele dossier and the FISA court and this, that. And so John Durham is going through this. So here's what I gathered from it. This is a very big story, and I'm not smart enough to really understand what happened because this is very convoluted. The special counsel's investigation has in the past uncovered evidence. I'm quoting from an article, evidence of a connection between a lawyer with connections to the Clinton campaign named Michael Sussman. I believe it was the Lotus Eaters. They pointed out that this is kind of mimetic, that his name is Sussman, that he's kind of sus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's funny, actually.
I gave him credit. I'm gonna give Carl Benjamin credit where credit is due. That is very funny, but I do want to say it. Like he said it, but it's very funny. I like it. So very sus. And a technology executive who Durham claims exploited internet data legally gathered from the White House and Trump Tower. Friday's filings also suggest that Sussman exaggerated evidence of a connection between Trump and Russia in meetings with law enforcement agencies and lied about the capacity in which he was doing it. Sussman was charged last year with lying to the FBI while trying to get it to investigate an allegation that the Trump campaign used a secret email server to communicate with Russia's Alfa Bank during the 2016 campaign. The FBI has not uncovered any evidence of such a connection. Yeah.
So what they actually are charging is lying to the FBI. They haven't really found much on the other thing yet. That's what he's actually being charged for.
Right, but essentially what they wanted to do is they wanted to sick the FBI on the Trump campaign. That's essentially because remember, if the Democrats are in charge and they have the FBI and they're going to do the FBI and they're investigating Trump, remember, like this is essentially espionage.
You're right. I'm just wondering, like, what can they really do about it if it was true? Like, send Hillary to jail. This was in 2016, and she's not the president, so it's not like, oh, she would have to resign if this came to light. But like, would she be sent to jail if this was true?
Well, number one, maybe, but number two, I don't. You're right. I don't know if they would necessarily send her to jail, only because we don't like sending political opponents to jail. Perhaps they would just take away her right to serve in public capacity and kind of take away certain things from her. Like she would lose certain rights. Perhaps she wouldn't be allowed to vote anymore. Like even if maybe she would be under house arrest. I don't know if we'd throw her in jail, but we certainly wouldn't allow her to participate in American democracy anymore.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I hear that.
Yeah. I think also I was reading this Daily Wire article, and bear with me here because I'm trying to understand it as well. This is what Fox News reported. The indictment against Sussman says he told then FBI General Counsel James Baker in September 2016, less than 2 months before the 2016 presidential election, that he was not doing work for any client when he requested and held a meeting in which he presented purported data and white papers that allegedly demonstrated a covert communications channel between the Trump organization and Alfa Bank, which has ties to the Kremlin. But Durham's filing on February 11th in a section titled Factual Background reveals that Sussman had assembled and conveyed the allegations to the FBI on behalf of at least two specific clients, including a technology executive, Tech Executive One, at a US-based Internet Company One, and the Clinton campaign. I believe that the Tech Executive One is being revealed to be a Rodney Jaffe.
Yeah.
And the Clinton campaign. The filing says that Sussman and the tech executive had met and been in contact with another lawyer who was working for the Clinton campaign. So, of course, BS. So he was working for the Clinton campaign, and he was, trying to help them get information. In connection with these efforts, Tech Executive One, who's Rodney Jaffe, exploited his access to non-public and or proprietary internet data, the filing states. Tech Executive One also enlisted the assistance of researchers at a US-based university who were receiving and analyzing large amounts of internet data in connection with a pending federal government cybersecurity research contract. What else? There was an important part here. This is very important. No. Basically, they had access to data that's not public information. The tech executive got Sussman information that was not public information. Namely, if there was no warrant, there shouldn't have been any investigation into it. And he gave this information to Michael Sussman, who then reported it to the Clinton campaign.
Yeah.
So,
which is a big no-no.
It's a very, very big no-no. And so Trump is right, of course. And so a lot of Republicans are calling for the heads of these Democrats, saying this is a big problem. As you can probably imagine,
they're saying that it's actually worse than Watergate. What do you think? Do you think the same thing?
Definitely worse than Watergate. Because think about it. Watergate was one bug. This is a whole system working together to get their political opposition. This is big tech working with the Clinton campaign, working with the FBI, working with this all these different big groups,
which makes it espionage.
Yeah. It's come to the point where my favorite Democrat, well, she's not serving anymore, but my favorite Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard, said that they manufactured this Russian lie. This is a headline from the Daily Wire. Tulsi Gabbard levels Hillary Clinton over Durham report. Chuck Grassley, he's I think the number 2 in the Senate, I believe. The American people should be as outraged as I am. The Republicans are essentially calling for the heads of everyone involved, as hopefully this is what goes on. And hopefully
what about Democrats? No.
Well, of course the Democrats wanted this. Apparently, the tech firm that was dealing with this information apparently is working with Joe Biden's campaign too, so they're involved in this as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so this is one of the worst scandals. And the reason we're talking about it today is that, you have to understand that, how do I even say this? There is a deep state, right? We don't have to call it the deep state if you don't want to be a very, conspiratorial about it. You can call it the administrative state, the permanent state, the bureaucratic state, and we need those things. But at the same time, it's just they answer to us, and they're not doing that right now. They think they are the government. They're not. They are the tools which our elected representatives should be using to do policy, but they're not doing that. They are working in tandem to control us and to overturn our will. And it doesn't matter who you voted for. This should outrage you. Because if they don't like the Democrat candidate, think about what the things they did to Bernie, right? The whole system destroyed Bernie. Anyone who wanted Bernie as president should be outraged at this as well.
Why?
Because Bernie ran a campaign against Clinton. In many ways, Bernie and Trump were similar candidates in that they were outsiders. Bernie was an independent his entire career, and he ran as a Democrat in the primaries, and he kept on getting sidelined by these different candidates. But in 2016, he was kind of thrown under the bus by Hillary Clinton, and he kind of supported her at the end. But anyone who I thought Bernie Sanders had more grassroots support than Hillary Clinton did. Yeah, definitely. Like I did not know a single Hillary supporter. Well, actually, I did, and I hated him so much because he was he was exactly what you think about a Hillary Clinton support, like a latte sipping liberal. It's not even like I've met some
Like
Bernie bros. They're pretty cool, right? But
like a Karen kind of version of a guy.
yeah, he was kind of like he was like always working in some government like highfalutin office. He was always looking down on other people. Like when I was pro Trump, he would like say like nasty things to me, like the like I've never seen like the genuine Bernie bros I know like are kind of nice to me, even though I know they know like I support Trump and all that. He was like really vicious to me, and he was just like it was like really bad. And not because I care about my feelings, like I don't care. Like I just remember the way he treated me was so bad. And he was like he just knew better than you. He knew he would talk like it's almost as if he would talk like this, as if like he knows better than you, and you just got to get with the program, and you know.
uh,
So that's like these people, and it drives me bananas. Don't let these people get away with it, man. Like there should be consequences for all these people. And that's why we need term limits on the deep state. More than we need term limits on Congress or the presidency or this and that. We need term limits on these people.
yeah, like the director of the FBI, CIA,
Not
and
just
all
that,
those.
like FBI agents should have term limits. And
Really?
the guy typing on the keyboard should have term limits. The military shouldn't have term limits, but like the different positions in the military should have, like, if you're not like a regular grunt, you should have a term limit unless you plan on going up in the ranks if you get out at some point. And I think that's very important. It's getting to the point where I don't trust these people, you know, because now they're telling people that they should, you know, lose their bank information. Like, what the hell is that? Like their
Um,
bank accounts should be frozen. These are the people that are in charge of us. This is what's wrong with our country, and this is not just in America. In Israel, it's the same way too.
yeah. No, definitely. This is politics, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
Every movie that I've ever seen, like it always shows like, corruption, to this level. And, it it's an unfortunate reality, but, it, it
They never
is.
talk about the corruption. They think corruption only happens in movies, but you know what? The corruption happens here too. It's just in the movies they have a fourth estate, and here we don't have a fourth estate. We have a PR campaign for the government. We don't have a fourth estate, and those are two very different things. But anyways, I'm kind of hoping to see what Durham has coming up. Durham has the evidence. If he takes it to court, he'll probably prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Clinton was involved in spying on Trump, and that will really help Trump in the next election if he decides to run. If he's able to prove that he was victimized by these people, he can make a compelling case to win the next election.
Really.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, Things, would you want that though?
Yeah, that's different. If he runs, he's going to get the election. It's not about what I want. I mean, I like Trump. I don't think he's going to be the best president in all history. I think if Ron DeSantis ever becomes the president, I think he might
Yeah,
end up eclipsing.
that's if, the Republicans win the midterm.
No, the midterms, I have a feeling the midterms are going to go in the way the Republicans want them, but don't count on the Republicans because, as Michael Knowles says, they're always capable. Sorry, they're always capable of grasping defeat from the jaws of victory. So
Yeah.
they'll find a way to lose. Don't worry. That you can't rely on Republicans to make sure that your kids are learning something important, but you can count on them to make sure to lose a very easily winnable midterm. Like, this is the most winnable midterm I've ever seen because everything is going wrong for the Democrats and the establishment. If the Republicans don't win, it's the Republicans' fault. Anyways, so you've ever heard of Alex Jones, Brody?
Yes, I have heard of him. Very
Okay, so
interesting guy.
very interesting guy. Okay, so I just want to quote him for a second and channel my inner Alex Jones here and say, they're turning the freaking kids gay. So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. I did send you a YouTube short, and I have to say, like, if you ever want to lose brain cells, if you want to become stupider, you should watch this YouTube short I sent.
Well, now I know how you feel about me. You sent me this video.
No, because I wanted you to lose brain cells.
Oh, well.
It's sabotage.
I love you too.
It's sabotage.
Oh,
yes.
all right.
Well, it's just that I don't feel comfortable in my IQ level, so I wanted to bring you down to my level.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, since you got your wisdom teeth taken out, you lost all that wisdom, so you wanted me to get onto your level.
Yeah, exactly. Soon we're going to be doing sketty wrestling. You know what sketty wrestling is, right?
No, what is that?
It's from that South Park episode where they were making fun of Honey Boo Boo.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh man, you need to watch South Park, man. That show's great. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Anyways, so we're gonna play the B-roll from the YouTube short. This is clip 1.
An opinion you have that might piss some people off.
Concept of straightness was basically created to make women prisoners to men. Because as we see on this app over and over, men don't actually like women. They want to have sex with female anatomy, they don't like women. If you followed me for a while, you know my Straight Guys Aren't Straight series, but this basically puts it into a nice pretty bow for you. People are afraid of queerness becoming more and more accepted because women are more and more leaning into that queerness. And so are some men, which is awesome. It means is that more and more women are going to start to pair up with other women and leaving these awful human beings who are unevolved, emotionally unintelligent, and just downright abusive by themselves, with no prisoner but each other. I'm not saying that men and women can't be actually attracted to each other, but remember, it's all a construction at this point. And as you undo it, you see that one group of people is definitely benefiting more than the other, and that's not the way it's been in history so far. Love you, ladies.
And yeah, so if you listen to that clip, right, you'll notice that he essentially says that straightness is a construct. And it's just like, it's one of those, sometimes I'll turn on the internet and I'll watch something and I'll be like, my eyes will like go wide open because like, whoa, I can't believe someone said that. Like that was a hot take. But in a bad way. It wasn't like a very intelligent hot take. It was a very kind of dumb hot take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very dumb. But I will say this. He did say something that I think is important to the discussion. And that is that, like, society is kind of accepting queerness, quote unquote, right? Like, I don't know what queerness is. I don't know what straightness is. But society is kind of cultivating this. And so more men are accepting the label of being gay and more women are accepting the label of being lesbian. And so that is having consequences, and which is why this next poll on this next article is on, which is on a Barna poll. It doesn't shock me. There was this Barna poll that came out of Arizona Christian University. It said that 40% of Gen Z identifies as LGBTQ.
Where did you say got that from?
This Barna poll that came out of Arizona Christian University.
It says here Barna's poll. Barna's.
Well, George Barna.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Poll is based on a sample of 600 respondents representing millennials weighted for factors such as geographic location, race, and gender, who took an average of 17 minutes each to answer for 71 questions. So, I mean, there have been other polls that says it's 40% is a ridiculous number.
It is. So, and by the way, I just want to preface this and say, like, I don't think the poll is that great.
Yeah, same thing here. I don't think it sounds way too high for it to be true. 40%.
Yeah, but
first of all, is this a world population or a U.S. population?
I think it's U.S.
Okay.
I think it's U.S. But I will say this. When I was a kid, I don't remember nearly as many weirdos existing. Like, I know so many more. And maybe it's just because I know more things now. And so maybe it's just, like the bias.
I mean, this one seems more accurate. There was a Gallup poll that says 5.6% of U.S. adults identify as LGBTQ, which is around 1 in 6 people. Every 1 in 6 people.
1 in 6 people would be like 15%.
Give me a second.
That would be like 1 in 20 people.
1 in 20 people?
Yeah, if it's 5% of the population, it'd be 1 in 20 people. Think about it.
Hold on, give me a second.
Well, think about it. If it's 10%, right? Then it's 1 in 10 people, right? So if you divide it in half, the percentage goes up.
Yeah, no, it's just because I was reading other articles, and I mean, they say that, oh, in a random sample of 15,000 American adults conducted last year, nearly 1 in 6 Gen Z respondents, or 15.9%. Yeah, you're right, 15%. Yeah. All right.
Oh wow, that was on the nose. That was on the
Um,
nose. Really good. Congratulations, me. Anyways,
yeah.
I'm so
So,
smart.
yeah. So, anyways, but I think the real important point is that Gen Z, or this year in 2020, has been
2022.
higher than previous years.
Well, 2022.
Um,
This year's
sorry,
2022.
yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
2022 has been higher than previous years, and Gen Z has been more open about it than previous generations. So I think that's really the most important. 40%, I feel like, is stretching it a lot, but I think they both tell the same thing.
Yeah, no,
So,
like even 15%, way too much. Like way too many gay kids. Like this is ridiculous. No, like honestly, like when I was in high school, right? When I was in high school and I was being way too based to exist, and I was saying like, no, we shouldn't have gay marriage and blah blah blah. And so people were saying like, what do you care if some two gay guys get married? Like, who cares? It doesn't affect your life. It doesn't do, like, it doesn't matter. Just live your life and let them live your life. And you know what? In college, I kind of agreed with that because, you know, number one, it was the trendy thing to believe, but also because, you know, I don't want to get in trouble for having the wrong opinion. You know, when you're in an environment where everyone is thinking the same thing and you're in this like kind of like college is very,
unpopular opinion.
yeah, you don't want to be unpopular, and truth be told, on some level, yeah, you don't want to really tell other people what to do, right? Like in a normal society, you assume that other people are going to do their own thing and you're going to do your own thing and everyone kind of leaves you alone. But that's just not how reality works, right? We do live in a society, and the things we talk about and the things we accept and the things we don't affect or don't accept, rather, those are things that we those are the things that are going to shape us, right? And so I think the reason why most people up until like the 60s got married and had kids was because that was the acceptable thing to do. Because guess what? If you were to go and start hitting on any woman that walked around, right, and you would sleep around, you would be considered a degenerate and you'd be thrown in the red light district. And you would be ostracized from polite society. But nowadays, everyone kind of cheats on everyone. Everyone's dating for like forever, and then they don't find a spouse, and they like kill their kids, or they have 10 different kids from 10 different baby mamas, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then in like the 90s, we started talking about like homosexuals and gay marriage, and like at least as I remember, I don't remember. I don't remember the
Yeah.
80s, but like
The
when I
point
was a
is
kid,
that we need a standard, and we need a place of like, where do we draw the line?
right when I was a kid, we were talking about "I Was Born This Way," right? The Lady Gaga song. You remember Lady Gaga song "I Was Born This Way"?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of nuts, right? Because it almost disproves the song, right? Because if it really was just about certain people are born gay, and perhaps they are, I don't know.
Was that what the song was about?
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
gay, or was it just about being like, oh, either like I was fat or I was ugly, and like I was born this way, like,
No. It was
and be
specifically
proud.
about sexuality. Like when
Oh,
the song
okay.
came out, they marketed it as like a gay kind of acceptance song for like the LGBT community. I don't even know if it was like they said the word LGBT back in the day. Like they probably called it
Well,
gay.
it was probably first LG, like, lesbian, gay, and then, you got to bisexual, so they added a B, and then, trans, and then queer. So, and
Right.
then now since there's more, they added a plus.
Right, but I
'Cause-
believe there's actually lyrics in the song that say like something about no matter like straight, gay, lesbian, transgender, bi, something along the lines. Like she points out, I believe, all four of like like the old, like the conservative LGBT, like no Q, but I could be mistaken. But essentially, she says like doesn't matter like what you are, I was born this way, and clearly that's just not true. Like clearly I mean it probably is true on some level. There's probably some level of nature, but as it stands, it's
well, what's
probably,
not true? Like,
namely that
because
it's
these are
not,
different things. Like,
no, it's not true
lesbian.
that like gay people are born this way and that they can't do anything about it and that there's nothing to be done about homosexuality, that it's all, that like, and I'm going to say it like this. If it was just you were born this way, right, then it would go the other way too, right? You wouldn't have to. What
do you mean by that?
Namely, if it really was you were born this way, right, that there was that, if you were gay, like you had no choice in the matter, that's just who you are and you just want to be accepted, right, then there wouldn't be no such thing as like some kid like thinking he was straight his entire life and then kind of like going to college and having an epiphany and becoming gay.
He would just know from the beginning.
Yeah, he would know. Yeah, he would know from the beginning. And the fact that the culture is able to, as the culture evolves and the culture becomes more not only accepting of LGBT, but like exalts LGBTQ individuals, right? As the culture goes more into that direction, the more people identify as it.
Well, they say like even like straight people has like what, like 5% of like homosexuality somewhat, like, because like if that wasn't the case, then like a guy can tell if a guy's good looking or not,
right? And but that's, I actually wanted to get into that. That's a very good point you make, but let me expand on it. Right, I think that this is a very millennial thing and a very Gen Z thing to kind of describe yourself as LGBTQ. And what I mean by that is that homosexuality existed as far as time, right?
The Greeks, they believed in it.
Well, before the Greeks, the Bible had to outlaw it, right? The Bible had to outlaw it. So obviously gay sex was like a concept, right?
That's true.
But
That's very true.
Right. But the Bible doesn't say homosexuals are going to die. It said a man who sleeps with another man. It doesn't put a label on it, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Right. And so some people are like, yeah, well, that means you should tolerate homosexuals because the Bible doesn't say we kill homosexuals. It says we kill the men who actually sleep with them. Fair enough. But I think also what they're doing is they don't want to put a label on it because the Bible's not really concerned about who you want to sleep with. The Bible is saying you as a man have a certain responsibility to this world. And part of your responsibility to this world is not to have sex with other men. Doesn't matter how much you want it. And
do you think the death part is not like a literal that he's going to die, and is that because if you're sleeping with another man, you're not going to reproduce and that your lineage is going to die?
No. Listen, the old Judean Israelite legal code specifically called for the death of homosexuals. I'm not going to sugarcoat that.
Okay.
No, listen, that would be very dishonest of me to say. But like, listen, that's a whole discussion. But I'm just saying that, like, in terms of like, why is this law here? Like, why does it exist? Because I think the ancient Israelites, the Hebrew God, right? He who can't be named, right? He knows that if you're not encouraging men and women to get married, and you're not encouraging them to have families, and you're not encouraging sex to be kind of directed towards a holy purpose, it will devolve into degeneracy. Right? You're either channeling your passions to something godly and something that's good, ultimately good, or you're channeling it towards evil, right? Into just hedonism and and Epicureanism. And so you need to understand that's why this is happening, because we're not telling our kids, like, instead of defining yourself by who you want to sleep with, why don't you define yourself by what you've done? Right? Why don't you define yourself by the things you do, by the things you believe, right? Like, isn't it kind of vain for anyone to say, like I don't go around saying I'm straight all day. It's not part of my personality. Like, I like women, presumably, but like, if I were to sit there and boil down my preferences into my personality, it'd be like, oh, I like dark women, I like this, I like that. But how vain would that be of me?
No, that's very true. It'd be like, what was that whole doctor thing where it's like, if you have to go around like saying like, oh, call me doctor, like, I'm a doctor, call me doctor. Like, no actual medical doctor will go out of their way and tell you, hey, call me doctor.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never heard that.
No one would do that.
Yeah. Like, a lot of my professors in college were pretty cool. So they're like, Professor Hirsch. And he would be like, no, call me Moshe, because they're not standing on ceremony,
Exactly.
The only people that actually care about like this standing on ceremony and this thing and that thing, they're people who have nothing better to do with their lives, right?
You're exactly right. It's a like you said before, it's a non-issue that they're making into an issue. It's like no one was talking about before, or no one had a problem with it before, but they are making it into a problem. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're looking for a problem, you will find it.
Right.
So, like, if you're looking for anti-Semitism, or if you're looking for racism, okay, you can somehow interpret something being like, oh my God, that's, anti-Semitic, or that's racism. So, these people are going out of their way to make a bigger deal that wasn't a big deal before. Like, I don't know, before they made the laws about, marriage and stuff, there was no, they allowed, gay people to be together. I don't think that was an issue.
Yeah, no, even though there were laws on the books prohibiting homosexuality, the reality is most people didn't care about gay people, right? That's the reality. Like, they would just kind of leave them alone, but they didn't. I think a lot of people are upset that like they used to have a gay pride parade, right? And that would be for a couple of hours, right? And then they had like Gay Pride Day, and now they're on Gay Pride Month. And not only do they have like a Gay Pride Month, but the cities now participate and they put rainbows everywhere and they have men. But like, if you're raising a Christian family, right, and you want to raise some Christian children, maybe you don't want like the cities to be covered in homosexual propaganda for a month. Like,
no, you're right, you don't.
Right. And I'm not like, listen, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go around and, tell people like, oh, you can't be gay. But at a certain point, if the agenda becomes so bad, then I have to. Because I don't want to send my kids to school and then some weird teacher to tell like the kids like, oh, you're really gay. Oh, you're really like, I don't want teachers to talk to my kids about that. I want
you're 100% right.
I want the standard. Like, obviously, I don't want my kids' teachers talking to my kids about any sex. But you want to know something? I've seen some like TikToks about how like sometimes like a teacher will kind of like ship the students. Like they'll put like a male student and female student together to have them work on a project. And if my kid's teacher was doing that in like high school, I would probably be like, I don't know if I'd approve of that, but at the same time, I'd be like, okay, but at least he's not a weirdo. But like, imagine if he was telling my kids like, oh, you're really gay, or you're really trans, or you're like talking about sex with them, like downright or outright talking with them about sex. I'd be like very upset because I recognize there's a standard, right?
Yeah,
I recognize that the standard should be, right, that, the kids are expected to grow up and have a family, a straight family with like kids and have kids the normal way, and they shouldn't be looking for all these cockamamie ways to trick nature into giving them a kid, right? Now, listen, I feel bad for the guy who's genuinely like disgusted by women. The concept of sleeping with a woman disgusts him, right? I feel bad for that guy. But at the same time, like, I don't want to reorder society to cater to like things that are going to destroy society. And we need men and women getting together and having families in a way that the YouTube guy was right. Straightness is a construct, right? Because we wouldn't have like, we never called it straightness. We just called it getting married to women and having kids. Like the Greeks knew it, right? I think the Greeks had a saying, it was like women for babies and boys for fun, right? That's what they did, right? When they wanted to have kids, they'd have sex with their wives. And when they wanted to have some fun, they would go and screw one of the children's slaves, right? But yes, we invented the concept of marriage to create stability in society and to create families. And yes, it is getting to the point where we have to say, no, we have to put this stuff back underground. Like, there's going to be, like, I'm getting to the point where I have to say, like, ban transgenderism, ban gay marriage, put all this back into the Pandora's box, because it's going to hurt. We're going to...
Yeah. It also comes down to also, like, just the population issue also. Like, first world countries just have a lower, birth rate than other countries, and this can be a factor in that.
Well, yeah, if everyone's gay, then no one's going to have kids, right? But then, of course, we're just going to be importing, foreigners that don't hold our values to our country. And so that the people who actually do bother to have kids, their kids are going to have to deal with all these foreigners. And not only that, like, it's just rude to these people that come to America and they want to like give their kids a better life. And then the culture around them kind of distorts their kids. Like, think about it. Do you think a Mexican family that comes from Latin America, these very traditional minded people, do you think these people want to move to America so their kids can, so that their daughters can become like these 26-year-old, never married, you know, executives at companies? They're not thinking about family. You think that's what they do for a living? You think that's what they want?
Well, they want them to have a better life.
Right, but you got to understand, people from like Latin countries, they're very family oriented. Like in Latin America, they all like live with like extended family. Like the abuela lives with the parents and the parents live with the kids, and you know, they all kind of live together, right? And so then they come to America and all of a sudden the kids don't want to have kids anymore. They don't want to have families. They want to work in some stupid job, some dead end job that's going to make sure that they're kind of alone. And so like, I don't know, this is just not the culture I want. I don't want to raise my kids in this type of culture. I don't want my kid turning out like this. And I think most people recognize that until like 5 minutes ago. Until 5 minutes ago, most people were like, oh, I feel bad for the gay people, but I don't want my kid to be gay. Even if I have to accept my kid as gay, but they don't. But now like it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, well, you have a choice, right? You kind of have a choice. If you homeschool them and you keep them away from the culture, they're more likely to turn out straight. But if you send them to school and you let them use Tumblr and you steep them in Disney, they're probably going to end up more likely gay or liberal. The point is they won't, you got to raise them right. But we got to put a lid on this, because 40% of Gen Z saying they're LGBTQ is out of control. This is not sustainable. Anyways, is there anything you wanted to add to that, or?
No, nothing I wanted to add. Anyways, and that's our show. Please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to be notified of our latest uploads. In addition, we are on all your favorite podcast platforms. You can reach out to us by commenting on the video or by sliding into our DMs at the right side of the compass on Instagram. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you next week.